Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew Rizzle show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew Rizzle show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. You are now tuned into the Matthew Rizzle show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. You are now tuned into the Matthew Rizzle show. Yeah.
Hey everyone, before we begin this week's episode of the Matthew and Rizzle Show, just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Proof of Beauty. Proof of Beauty is an experimental digital experience studio. The blockchain is their canvas and the tokens are their brush. You can learn more about Proof of Beauty by checking out pob.studio. You can follow them on Twitter as well at PRRF Beauty. That's PRRF Beauty on Twitter and pob.studio on their homepage to learn more about their projects like Hash, London, and Publico. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Okay, Pointshark, welcome to the Matthew and Rizzle Show, man.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here for sure.
Oh yeah, we were just talking before we started recording, spilling all the good stuff beforehand, but it's been a long time coming, man. It's always cool to be able to finally connect, speak with another person that we've kind of like seen come up in this space over so long, especially someone that's been so prolific in terms of being a voxel artist and Cryptovoxels amongst other places. But to get started, I think the best place would probably be an introduction from yourself, telling folks a little bit about your backgrounds, maybe where you're coming from pre-crypto, what brought you into this space, and all that good stuff.
Okay. So, thank you for the introduction. My name is Pointshark. I guess much like a lot of people, didn't really have a place, you know. You find something, you think you're looking for something, but you don't know what. And then it slaps you in the face. You either see it and you react, or it just goes right by and it passes you by. So I think that to me is my Web3 experience. So I'm from Southern California. I don't have a real typical background in much of anything other than surfing. I like to surf. A lot of extracurricular activities outside of the normal 9-to-5 stuff. I'm a big outdoorsman. I like to hike, run, surf, snowboard, you name it, trail run, martial arts, the whole 9 yards. If it gets me going, I'll get going. I haven't really created in a classical sense or in a typical sense as far as my career path and where I started and how I landed here, but I came up in the construction industry, early age, didn't mesh with school well. So that was the next best choice was get as much money as quickly as possible. And, so you're instantly either a POS or you can go to work. So I've been in the construction industry for about 20 something years, which will kind of date me a little bit here, but that's all right. So lots of experience building high rises. I've been in the trenches. I've been all the way from nothing all the way to the top. I currently am still in the construction industry, in the building industry. I'm into more of the design phase at this point in my career. Do a lot of AutoCAD and a lot of Revit. I run a department actually at this point of CAD and Revit, kind of, I guess, detailers are what we're called. But we build virtual buildings, and then they get built in the real world. So I'm in the virtual design, virtual construction phase of designing architecture and engineering. So that's kind of where I get my software background from. Once I realized I could learn software, and computers weren't this machine that, you didn't necessarily have. I think we had them in high school and in junior high growing up, but it wasn't as big as they are now in our daily lives. So you didn't really have to work on a computer if you didn't want to yet at that point. So, but once I realized, that it's not a scary thing and that my brain could handle adapting to software and the talk, it kind of went from there. Just started learning. Haven't really had a traditional background. Don't really have any formal training. I'm just learned it and can do it well at this point, well enough to run my department, I guess. So I try to stay humble about that, but, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. That's where I started. And that's my real life. That's me in a nutshell. My day to day. I'm a big family guy as well. And the family is what keeps me going, waking up every day, aside from all the rest of the wonderful things in life. That's the main driving factor to open those eyes, get out of that bed,
So like,
yeah.
how did you find the crypto space, and when was it when you found NFTs and like Cryptovoxels?
So the crypto space, I was introduced to it in, I think, May or June of 2017. I think at this point, people have already been investing in things. There was a couple big companies throughout my childhood that you heard were the hot ticket, hot investment. Well, some of those family stories became real, and some of those family stories were missed out on. So I was always kind of in the back of my head, had my eyes open for what your lottery ticket investment could be. But you're never going to know it until it's already passed, because then the value's there and it's obvious for everybody. So didn't know what it was going to be, just kind of knew that something was going to eventually find me, or I was going to find it. And one day, a couple of friends were over having some beers, and he started talking about Bitcoin and Litecoin and all this. And I was like, I've heard of that before. Not sure what's going on, but tell me more. Let's have another beer. And, so we just started talking. He was spieling out, and this is super early. You'll probably remember, my earliest memory that makes me feel that I'm old in this space is BitConnect. And, so that was going around. That was a big topic, in that conversation, which is funny, but so basically that's when I heard about it. Then I went to LA, hung out with some friends. He was running a high rise up there. So we were up there hanging out with some high rise people in downtown LA, and more people had it in common than less people had heard about it. So I've started realizing, like, okay, this is, something that I'm going to pay attention to a little more. And so started investing, bought a little Bitcoin, held, never really sold anything. I'm not a big profit scraper type of guy. Here for the fun, here for the space. And, but at that point it was just kind of an investment. So I just held, and it was a wild ride right after that. And so once that started happening, it was like, all right, now what do we do? So that's how I found crypto. And then after that, I just had to read. I was reading anything I could find. I'm sitting at break on my phone, just reading this about that, about proof of stake, proof of work, trying to just learn what the hell I've even got myself into. So I'm learning. I can talk, I can have conversations with people now. And then I read something about NFTs and CryptoKitties and like digital receipts and things like that. And I started thinking, like, wow, what is that? Okay. Concert tickets were something that was kind of an obvious use case for, knowing now NFTs, but back then it was just, what is this? So, like I said, CryptoKitties, was pretty much the only thing that was out there. So I heard about CryptoKitties, and I hadn't really known what to do or even how to access. I don't even think I'd got into MetaMask at that point yet. I was probably still on like Trezor. What was that ETH wallet they had? I can't remember, but, anyways, it was before MetaMask for me. So I was just trying to figure stuff out still. And, I think a couple more months went by. So we're probably like in August, September, October, November, maybe of 17, maybe 2018 at this point. And, the Los Angeles Dodgers did a promo, with a digital bobblehead, and it had a passphrase on the back of it, and it had a QR code so that you could access the site and enter the passphrase and then transfer this thing that it was in the wallet. And it was an NFT, and it was a bobblehead, and it was a digital bobblehead. And it was the first digital giveaway. I think it might've been the first digital NFT giveaway by a sports team in general, but, I'm just south of LA. So I got to stay out there. People love me or hate me, but the Dodgers are not my team. But I still went out because I was really interested and I'm a big sports card collector. And so I went out and I actually bought 2 or 3 of them off of eBay. So I bought my first NFT, which was on a card, so it was physical, off of eBay.
Huh.
So that's kind of weird.
Damn, you front ran the whole known origin acquisition.
Yeah, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Right.
Yeah. So I was already buying NFTs on eBay back then. But but yeah, so then I just had these things and I had no clue what to do, so I had to go investigate what the hell I just bought, other than a baseball card. Essentially was what I was kind of relating it to, was a digital baseball card, digital era. So found the company, MLB Crypto Baseball. They were later, I think it was Lucid Sight was the developers. They rebranded to MLB Champions. And that's where I got my first taste of Discord, my first taste of NFTs sales. I think I missed all the auctions. Everything had gone to auction at that point. They had some pretty high prices, and I was just getting into it. So I was really kind of nervous and scared about even touching anything, but saw everything and met some people. There's a few people still from that NFT platform that are still around today, that I'll see here and there. So it's pretty cool. But that's how I first got into NFTs, was by the Dodgers from baseball, which is really weird. Sports got me into NFTs.
That's nuts, man. It's also crazy that that the Dodgers were so early into NFTs. I was not aware that was even a thing, let alone your story as well with eBay and everything. It's so crazy, man. And from like way back at this point, it's really interesting hearing your construction background, because that is how I came to know you in the metaverse. Basically, I want to say I was familiar with you and some of your builds and everything, but the most vivid memory of like our first like real interaction, I feel like, was when we hosted the whip at Mark. We did like a Mark Rendar whip, and it was in the spot that you built. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, across the street from the trains, the subway station, and everything. And so ever since then, I've been sort of like following your journey, mostly in like Cryptovoxels as a builder. That's like sort of how I came to know you, as like one of like the OG builders in the space. Learning now that you've got your hand in like a few other things. But how did you come to Cryptovoxels? And I'd be really interested to hear like your perspective, like as someone who like works in the real world in like construction and design and everything. Like, is there overlap? Like, I assume there's some overlap, but would be curious to hear like what the overlap is, why Cryptovoxels for you versus like some of these other platforms and everything. And yeah, just sort of your experience going from like a real world builder to a metaverse builder.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's a good one. Cause I think that's pretty much that was one of the drivers. So yeah, construction history, got into software, figured out some software, learned software. Now all of a sudden I'm a software nerd and I figured out some stuff. So what can I do with my newfound skills that I basically got paid to learn, and I have them? What do I do with them? What can I do that's fun, not just work, So this kind of this wonder, this thought started brewing. And to kind of pull back a bit, like I said, my background's in construction, but I'm never going to say I was an artist growing up, but your mom loves your drawings, everybody's moms loves their drawings. Well, my mom loved my drawings, so it felt good, to draw stuff and have people like it. And so I always had that kind of creation inside, even though I never really, it just didn't take me that way in life. School didn't take me that way. My natural gifts were more on the physical and the short and the surfboards and the getting out and getting stuff done. So I never really gravitated towards creation as much as I do these days. But it was in there. And so once I learned all this, I had some extra knowledge and I realized that, wow, I just kind of took a step back and saw that I could learn something. It lit a fire, and I just had this this burn on the inside. Like, what can I do now? What's next? Where can I take this? So I started messing with like shapes, and just modeling stuff in AutoCAD and just messing with stuff, seeing what I could do. And I was like, ooh, I did a sphere, ooh, look at that pole. It goes right to the sphere. Now it looks like this cool design. I was like, okay, I think I'm onto something here. And I enjoyed 3D modeling at that point. So I just started 3D modeling. And, at the same time around then, we're going to go parallel with the NFTs and the MLB crypto baseball story. I was in their Discord a lot. We're doing trivia, much like a lot of the Discords, just community engagement stuff. And I believe it was, so the moderator in there, I guess I'm allowed to use names, right? Bitcoin Louie was in there as one of the mods. There was a couple more mods, but Satman and Bitcoin Louie were doing this thing like horse races. I don't know if you guys ever ran those horse race games in any Discords, or you pick your pony and they kind of just take off, and it was real analog and really silly, and you kind of felt like it was rigged, but everybody was into it, and you picked your horse and watched it go, and you had like a dog emoji. You know what I mean? I don't know. It was a little analog 2D game in Discord.
Dude, I know all these names, but I did not play this game. I sort of regret never having someone to click on it.
It's weird. It was called Horse Race. So it was Bitcoin Louie and Satman's Horse Races, or something like that. And Satman was like, yo, Pointshark, we need a flyer. We got to hype this up. Everyone's here. And I was hanging out with him. So I was like, yeah, I'll make a flyer. I don't have any skills though. He was like, well, I'm like, sure, why not? Here, check out this app. It's called Additional. I'm like, all right. He's like, you could tokenize it. We're going to tokenize the flyer, and you send one back to me, and then we'll, do the whole deal. So I made a flyer. It was cheesy. I'm super embarrassed. It's my first NFT I ever made. It was a flyer for Satman and Bitcoin Louie's horse races. It was some stock photo stuff with the little emoji. It's horrible. I'm so embarrassed, but it's legit, and it's my first NFT I ever made.
Now it's Grail, man.
Oh, it is, dude. If you could find one out there, if I ever become famous or die early and everyone loves it, that's the one right there. But so I'm making it. So that's how I found Additional. So now we're starting to get into this art, this creation, this NFT scene, and Cryptovoxels. So now from the flyer, I'm in Additional, and I met some people there. That's a few of the artists on there. I would say more than a few, and then a couple of the heads of the platform, I believe. Everybody was in this platform minting art. I don't want to go down the list of names because I'm going to forget people, but if I end up naming people, it is what it is, and I'm sorry if I forgot you. But so I'm in there, and that's where I was minting stuff, and I forget, it must have been Jake Bruckman, or I'm gonna butcher the name, probably not, Ilan Kaitin. But Jake had a gallery in Cryptovoxels, the first edition gallery, and he was collecting as many first editions as he could, because 101, 105, if you have the first edition of 5, obviously number 1, first edition. So he was gathering a nice little collection off of Additional and wherever else he was collecting art from at the time. And that was going into his gallery. So he shared a link to the gallery, and that was a Cryptovoxels link. And I clicked on the link. I was into the world, and I was immediately fascinated with what the hell did I just fall into? It's this block clear. You had images, but there was no color. It was real black and white, and it reminded me of Minecraft, but it wasn't Minecraft. It was NFTs. It was crypto. It just felt raw, fresh, different. Like, it was just like, I just was amazed. I didn't have a huge gaming background. So a lot of the video game stuff that I was into wasn't around in this point in time, Street Fighter and stuff like that. So we didn't have a lot of building games. And if we did, I just wasn't into them. I played a lot of the sports games, FIFA soccer and a lot of that type of stuff. A lot of the EA Sports games and packages. But anyway, so I just hadn't been exposed to anything like that before, and I was just amazed. I was taken back. The art that people were creating, that I was collecting, that we were all sharing on that platform at the time, was also being shown in this gallery. And I'm like, hey, that's O Savage, or that's Mighty Moose, oh, dang. Okay, cool. This is rad. So you could like put your NFTs up here. So obviously now all of a sudden in my head, Cryptovoxels was a digital art gallery, which is probably the vibe that it put off for a long, long time before a lot of the voxel models and a lot of the voxel artists started actually being able to implement their skills inside World, because it was such a raw world back then. They didn't really have a lot of the options available in the builder that we do today. So it was real cubes. It was pretty much all cubes, and you had to use the native textures, and I'm not even sure if you could input textures yet. You might have, but I'm not sure. So that's realistically how I found Cryptovoxels, was through Jake Bruckman on Additional and Ilan Katon, because I was looking for some way to take these 3D AutoCAD drawings that I was creating and then turning into NFTs. I wanted to send, this is before IPFS links, I wanted to send the 3D model I had made with the NFT that was claimed on Additional, but I couldn't get it. I couldn't link it. The platform couldn't link files, and I think it was Rarible. I'm probably not, but maybe it might have been Rarible that did it first, or the first one I remember. But before that, you couldn't do it. And so I couldn't get the 3D models out to people, to my collectors or whatever. And Ilan Katon said, why don't you voxelize it? And I was like, what do you mean voxelize it? And he showed me this app. It's one of the ones that's, you Google voxel converter and it always pops up. I think it's the Drubu one or something. But he was like, yeah, voxelize it and you can bring it into World. So after seeing the gallery and then hearing that from him, I was like, all right, it's on. I got to get into this place, because this seems like it has both sides of me. It can do the art part. It can do the modeling part. There's a community. I already knew people that knew about it, that were cool, that received me well. I could be awkward at times, and maybe don't say the right things, or I mess my words up. And, so I was real thankful and humbled that I was so accepted, and also not viewing myself as an artist at the time. Not really realizing until, I guess, within the last year or so, that I guess I probably am an artist. It's just, I'm not the typical artist. But, yeah, I was just really humbled by the space and the people, that I just had to get into it. And if these guys were cool and these people knew about it and they were cool with it, then I'm cool with it. Let's do this. So that's how I found it. And, I don't think I had a parcel yet or anything. I think I went in with Satman. We're still in contact at this point. We're going to do a little headquarters for MLB Champions and maybe start something Web3. We weren't sure, but he ended up with a parcel, and I started messing with it and building and learning, and just started pressing the buttons. And the rest is history, I guess, at this point. There's a lot in between, but yeah, that was that right there.
I love that, man. And yet another shout out to Jake Bruckman. That man and the Additional app and the community around it have just been responsible for bringing in so many just amazing souls into the space, and artists and collectors. Again, in my historical view, it's like there's Additional, and then there's an interesting intersection there that brought a lot of people into the space early on, a lot of artists and collectors and early community that really turned people on to what's going on here and the real potential of the space. I'm just curious, it feels like decades since then in crypto time. Everything's moved so quickly. Since those early days, things have changed so much. Just what's your take on how things have changed up until now? How are you thinking about the whole space, let alone specific projects like Voxels today?
It's definitely improved as far as on many levels. I guess you could strip it all the way down raw to just sole amount of users and people in the space. The numbers have improved, which is cool, because that's kind of always when I was in there early, when you guys have been here for so long, and it's just kind of like same people showing up every day to the same party. You're like, okay, are we done here? What's going on? Is anyone coming? But no one really cared. So when you look at the numbers and you're like, wow, okay, cool. We were doing something cool that eventually people gravitated towards, wanted to get into, saw value in, left if they did, but there was the attraction that kind of helps justify why you're even here. You know what I mean? So I like the growth, maybe not as exponential as it was. It was a pretty wild ride these last year and a half or so, right? But I think overall, in a whole, so the underlying tone when I was just starting, and not sure my skills and where I fit in, but just having a blast doing it, was wait until this. It was a blank, you fill in the blank. Wait until blah blah blah. Wait until the voxel artists. Wait until the CGI guys and girls. Wait until the big time musicians. And it was all wait and see, wait and see. So we all kind of had foresight about what was to happen. So it was exciting that it happened. Obviously that was the positive. The negatives you can probably outweigh, I don't know, or equivalent to the positives. I want to say the positives are more because I'm a happy person. Glass half like to be negative. It's all in your head. And if you can control your mind, you can control anything. So I don't like to on the negative. There was a lot of negatives though that came from the exponential growth in the short amount of time. All the rugs. Don't like all the rugs. Don't like all the bad actors and the creative scams. My God, it seems like every day there was a new one popping up, and they're so real and so good. But that's the stuff. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm one way or the other. I can appreciate the effort and the brains that people put in to scamming people. I hate scammers though, but the planning, they're so good at what they do. It sucks. And that's a negative part. I don't like all the negative attention and the scamming and stuff that went on, but back to small to big. The majority of the platforms have all gotten better. If we want to go simple and stick home with Cryptovoxels, it's gone from black and white to having to buy your own native token to full color, voxels, animations, decimal point, adjustments. We had to rotate our models, and if you couldn't land your edges how you wanted them, you'd have to like mirror it and then flip it and roll it another way. You couldn't just move it 0.001 and then 0.001 up and then turn it 0.001 degree. It was real tough to get stuff in. So as far as like the UI of the builder of Cryptovoxels, hands down, it's night and day building these days. It's almost too good to where it seems that features are being added and removed because they're so quick to add things if we like it. I guess that's a good part about having a smaller controllable team within that aspect of it. I could probably say that the corporate money was good but bad, much like everything, double-edged sword. The exposure and the all eyes on us type of thing, like it or not, that's what we got because of it. So we got a little more exposure to what we've been doing. And then obviously the negative side of that is people that are coming in that just want a piece of the pie to go run with it and go eat it somewhere else. So that would be a downfall of the space for sure. But like we all feel, the people that left are gone. Hopefully you got out of here alive and you still hold your wallet. Right. And then now you might have stole some talent from their space. The people that stayed, that liked it, that went full Web3 over this past year and a half, that used to work horrible jobs and, diners and just scraping just to make it to next week's rent or whatever, to go try to take a weekend vacation or something. But now there's so many stories of people that quit their old life and have found new life and new love and new fire within themselves. So I like that. I like that aspect of it right there. I don't think I'm ever going to try to go full Web3 or retire, get rich off the space. That's what keeps me humble in here. But the people that were starving artists, and things like that really just wanted to survive and that actually were able to, right there, that's all worth it right there. All the bullshit that came and gone, the people that did make it, that were able to uplift themselves, just by going for it. Tons of respect to those people and nothing but love. And I just want to see everybody do well if they want to. So those are kind of pros and cons that I've seen.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm running on too much, but yeah.
No, dude, very, very well said, man. And I like what the way you sort of framed things as far as like, you know, this big upswing and like hype cycle, sort of being justification or like validation for what we all thought was awesome for like a long time before that. Yeah, just like you said, man, we sort of all knew we were into something, onto something. We all sort of felt like that big wave was coming, but like nobody really knew like how it was going to come. And so, yeah, man, to sort of look at that as like validation of something that we all believed in very early on. I really appreciate the way you put that. So, dude, like curious to hear your take on like why Cryptovoxels, or why you've leaned so heavy into that. Was it just sort of like first mover advantage? I feel like early on there were like very few choices if you were interested in like, you know, crypto based metaverse type of situation. But you know, now the landscape has changed. There's a lot of different options out there for builders. Have you tinkered around with any of these other worlds? Are there any of them that you are like, you know, particularly a fan of? Have you just continued to lean really heavily into Cryptovoxels, or what's your like sort of lay of the land right now?
I like them all, honestly. I like the differences in all of the visuals. I think each one has its own visual aesthetic. Obviously, Cryptovoxels swings one way hardcore with blocks and voxels. And then you have a lot of the realistic stuff like Decentraland and Somnium. I'll stick with the couple big three, you know. Sandbox obviously is another voxel base, so that's one way or the other. So for my particular skill set, the voxel modeling was a little more ready now. Meshes and polygons and items and things like that wasn't really something that I was well versed with yet. I'm still not. I mess around and I've built in other worlds, but to start, that's where I chose Cryptovoxels, and then later on, I think Sandbox wasn't even ready to go yet. But that was another one I was interested in, primarily based on my ready-made skill set. Like I said, I'm not just a one-trick pony, but what was quicker for results now was voxels and voxel building. So that's what I just chose to focus my next phase of software learning on. But I like everything, like I said, individually. Decentraland is insane colors and the avatars are super cool looking. I love the wearables and just the way that the look is a little more realistic. I like the way the lighting is, and some of the lasers and the hot pinks and things like that you can get from some of those realistic platforms there in Somnium space. I liked Sandbox as well, obviously for voxel building, but I still have a couple ideas for games. Didn't really know how I fit in, but the building in particular was a lot easier to start off green, fresh, in Cryptovoxels than it was in any of the other builders. So I've tried them all. I touched a couple buttons and, you know, exploded stuff and things didn't look good. And the learning curve was a little steeper in some of the other ones. I think I messed around with the SDK for Decentraland for a minute. And then once they had the prefab builder, I started making little parks and stuff, but I could never it just didn't grab me like the results I was getting from Cryptovoxels. So even though I was building in parallel areas and trying to check out different things, it was always just naturally led me back to Cryptovoxels. I didn't have any land at one point. Now I have some, but I was never able to. I think the entry point in Somnium and Decentraland were also a little more than Cryptovoxels at the time, because Cryptovoxels was so underdeveloped and grassroots, if you will. So it was easier. It was an easier entry point for me as well, back then. Although I still really, really want to get a couple more parcels within Decentraland Somnium space and some of the other ones to start to explore more building. I built a little in Substrata as well. I like Substrata a lot because that also has that single developer vibe where it's Nick and he's just doing his thing, and you can watch the development of his tools literally on Twitter as he goes through stuff, and adds lighting and adds shadows and just, I like watching the development of Somnium Substrata from where I saw it originally to where it's still going these days. And there's a cool little crew in there, of builders, and I believe Nick did some of the rendering or something with, for Cryptovoxels back in the day. So I'd already kind of known of Nick and his maps that he would make of Cryptovoxels that were just extremely crisp and clear. And I think Jin was throwing them up there and some of the backgrounds. And I was just amazed at some of the stuff that they were doing with Substrata's lighting. Even I think it was Indigo Render or something like that. But yeah, I like all of them, and they're obviously different, the different aesthetics and things like that.
Yeah, those early Substrata renders, and like especially what Jin was sharing back in the day, where you would see like the whole of Origin City, before way back before Ben made the original sin of going beyond and expanding and selling plots beyond Origin City. It was just kind of blew my mind, because I had a few parcels was kind of active in there, but like to see that scale and to see it presented in that, and like those the way the Substrata models look, it was just like, damn, that's so cool.
It was good, huh? It was crisp.
It's in my mind's eye when I think of Cryptovoxels, that's still the image that comes to my mind, to be honest.
Nice.
Just so cool. But for someone like yourself that's so deep into it, so, especially on the builder side, but in the community side as well, I have to imagine you have probably some of the best critiques of this, like the virtual worlds as they currently exist, the development since the beginning. Just really curious, like what's still missing? Like, what are these worlds for all the great notes that they've struck? Like, what are some off notes, and like what are some parts of the song that they still need to nail for this space to really grow and to attract more participants?
The first thing that instantly came to mind, and I think before you had finished your sentence, it's kind of low hanging fruit, but it's a main focus a little more so, I think, these days as it was back then, is interoperability. Being able to do what we all speak about, own your assets over here, and then walk them across the portal into the next world. Maybe it's from voxels to some sort of poly type world where your voxel models now become more poly instantly, or maybe they stay and they mesh, they mix match aesthetics, and the voxels will always be voxels, but they're usable in the next world and noticed based on just a Web3 portal or firewall or, non-tech. So, but you step through that door and it notices that you've got that, and it lets you take it with you because you are the owner of that. I'll use this one, the golden sword, or that badass AR from Call of Duty or something. That's
chain.
Sorry. Well, yeah. But the one that is doing it is on chain. No, but that's where you right there are stepping across the boundary of something that people have been talking about or working towards, but it doesn't seem like it's there yet. But everybody wants it, but it isn't really happening. And I think that's a major step. And yes, Rizzle, for you, I'm definitely going to point at you for that. That right there is huge. I don't care what it is, dude. If you're pushing to get this into the next world and you can walk it through the door and it doesn't strip you from it or strip it from you as you walk through that portal, and you look on the other side of the door and there it is on the floor, You know, that's not how it should be. If you walked into a party, your on-chain chain would still be wearing right around your neck.
Yeah.
That's the type of stuff I think we're all working towards that. And I'll touch Webiverse, I believe, is a big proponent, and that's something that Jin's really involved in. I looked at Jin for a lot of this stuff. I'm not gonna like sit here and, you know, man crush all over certain people, but
Oh, it's all right, dude. We all man crush over Jin.
from day one, Jin's been the one that I've looked to for tons of different stuff.
Yeah.
Everything in VR chat and all the virtual spaces and the things that he says and the agendas he's pushing are pretty much on point. And that's it. You know, they're focused on it. You know, it's got to be something right. And Jin's savvy in tons and tons of other virtual spaces that you just have to bow to the experience and the knowledge and just come along for the ride and drink the potion and just keep going. Cause those are the people that are going to make it happen as well. Not just the people preaching it, you know? And I love that about this space too. Like to your on chain comment, you decided it was something you wanted to do and you did it, you know, and it's happening and there's nothing you can do about it at this point because here it is and we're going that route. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. First of all, dude, I really appreciate it, man. It was it's sort of like a selfish project, but also I do believe people want it. But I also believe the people who really want it, you have to have like 10 layers deep of an understanding in order to even know what it is you're getting and what you want in the first place. So to hear that comment from someone like yourself, man, who's like, you know, been in the space for like so long, it does mean a lot, man. And that's like, you know, what, you know, you're like the type of person we're all trying to move in this direction for, as well. Dude, what are you like currently working on these days? Do you have like an active build that you're like in progress on? Or are you like sort of in between things, or like what's your like current, you know, status in the metaverse crypto NFT world?
Well, I'm building, always building. It pretty much doesn't matter. I got a real life job, but after that, after the responsibilities of life come and go for the day, you'll find me at the computer if I get a chance. If I'm not too tired yet, I'll wake up really early every day. So I'm building at night, every single night, almost every night, depending on how much time. If it's an hour or less, I try not to get on because I got to make it worth it. It takes, you know, a couple minutes just to turn the computer on and off. But no, right now I've been busy, head down. I do commissions a lot. I've had to close all my commissions for now. I've turned down some notable ones that I hope are still there when I come back. But but Architect Island for Cryptovoxels. I've been working on that for the past, let's see, it's got to be at least 2 or 3 months at this point. Just grinding away. So we have little background for Architect Island. That is, I believe it's 40 parcels, so 40, 80, 120, 160. So there's 4 districts, like a north, south, east, and west, split into 40 parcels. And then each district has a team, and each team splits the parcels to build. And so the parcels themselves are going to be for sale. This is basically it's a commission by Cryptovoxels with hand-picked builders to pre-build the island. And turn over permanent structures to the metaverse essentially and set them out for sale rather than having blank wireframe builds. That's one of the things people get bummed out about, is not having enough built around them. You just buy a parcel and you get a bunch of investors around you that don't build. You're going to have a non-built parcel surrounding you the majority of your time. So there was a need to get some pre-built parcels. It's stuff they've been talking about for a while, and it finally hit. So I've been working on that, like I said, for the past few months, by coincidence, by invite, I always have to go there because this is a major driver for my motivation to do good on this island. But it was, I'm on a team with Ogar and Misha, and the other member of that had to take off for because it was stressful. Brookcock, we parted ways. He had a lot coming up in the summer, but it was us three. It started off with us four, but before that, this was actually supposed to be Alotta Money's area, and those are his friends, Ogar and Misha, and like I said, it's not the way I wanted to be part of the team. But Ogar approached me, and said, "Hey, obviously what had happened, and we're seeing if you'd like to join our team here." And just totally humbled, taken back. If I was a crier, I probably would have cried, like, holy crap, dude, this is amazing. Like, there's no way in hell. I've looked up to, Ogar and Alotta and all these other builders my whole time here. So to be able to actually take part and be part of the team. Cause to be honest, when I heard about Architect Island, I was like, oh no, I didn't get asked. That's cool though. Like I said, I'm super humble. So I try to let it roll off. It bummed me out for a minute, but it was all good because I wanted to see what people could do. And then I got the call from Ogar and it was all good. But, so I've been working there for the past couple months, and I think I've got 6 buildings built so far. We had a total of 40 parcels, and there's 10 each. And so I think when we lost one member due to workload of real life, Ogar being the machine that he is, he assumed most of those parcels as well. I think he's got more than the rest of us, but he's a stud. But I got 10 parcels to build out, and I got about 6 done. And like I said, it's just been consuming. It takes up all my time. Any build time I have right now, it's all going strictly to that. I don't really do much art, which I really, really been wanting to start minting some more art. That's a whole nother topic we can touch on later. But yeah, I've been pretty much strictly building, head down, DMs closed, commissions closed, just trying to build out these buildings to get ready for whatever we're going to do next on that part of the island.
That background's incredible, man. It's always so humbling how much of the space is still standing on the shoulders of giants that have come before us and inspired us. And like Alotta is, yeah, just such a important figure in the space. But sort of like switching gears, and as we're heading towards the end of the chat, which has been, man, I've just been, again, like a walk down memory lane and feeling like re-inspired and reinvigorated. Like I feel like you embody like that core ethos, that spirit of coming in here for the intellectual curiosity, like getting your hands dirty in this virtual space, doing the actual building out these spaces that hopefully will be inhabited more and more as we head forward. Just gotta say, it's super inspiring and such a pleasure to be able to chat with you. But
thank you.
As we get to the end of the show, normally it's Rizzle that's doing this super invasive shakedown, but we like to ask our guests to kind of break out their crypto wallets and see what they've been collecting. I don't know if you want to highlight some of the most recent works, whether it's art or like box of wearables or like whatever it is that you collect. I'm just kind of curious what you have in your wallet.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. That's a good question. I'm going to open this bad boy up. Well, the one that I just found on accident, I was having a beer over the weekend, flipping through Twitter in between whatever I was cooking. Rare Designer, Rare Pepe Yacht Club.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of that.
They ended up going to a free mint, and I happened to be checking my phone within like 10, 20 minutes of that first message on Twitter. So I ended up checking it out, and sure as shit, they were free. And I was like, damn, dude, cause I bought a few in the first pass. I like Rare Designer. I have a piece from his Odysseum art store, and he's a buddy of Skeeny. So if Skeeny's got his back, I got his back type of thing, so I was in, I was like, oh, this is cool. So I grabbed a bunch of those, over the weekend. I think probably too many, but I don't get a lot of opportunity to degen, the ape in, and I totally did here. I was trying to mint 100. Couldn't do it though. But, yeah, so let's see. Rare Pepes, those are on my top of my list because that was the weekend. I got some TPL mecha parts. from the Cyberbroker's Quest. Got the rainbow bracelet from Control Boutique Unchained Chain. It's a homage to the on-chain chain. Good Minds. Got a couple good minds in here. One that I keep checking my additionals because I swear I have some, but I finally was able to get a Connie Digital async music blueprint. I have some of his stuff from back in the day on additional, but I just couldn't find them. But so I saw that he had a couple songs out in a blueprint, so I grabbed a blueprint of his. I've been doing a lot of blueprints lately, I think. Let's see, some Wizard X in here. A lot of voxel architect stuff, scarcity discoveries. What else is standing out here? Yeah, there's my on-chain chain, little mustache taco. That one's cool.
Very nice.
Just met some. So I got a couple. I don't really know the charged particles protocol or team, but somehow they saw one of my tweets or something, and it was either I was at the beach or something, but they're like, yo, we're right down the street. I'm like, wait, what? So I ended up, I minted a few Particlon, avatars, I guess there, but then charged particles in the Particlon team. There's a couple guys down here in San Diego. So, that was kind of cool to meet them. Here's let's see, Marco Zubak, MLibT. It's a blueprint of his. What else? This one is cool. This is Lulu XXX, but it was, what was this? This was like a free open mint from Lulu XXX, and it was a generative mint series PORT and then AA in parentheses. So I minted a few of those. The additional crew were talking about it, and I was like, all right, I think I like this. And it's really cool stuff. These generated faces and whatnot that Lulu XXX was checking out and messing with. Those are the main ones lately. A lot, like I said, a lot of blueprints. Oh, there's a Bacillus. I got a Bacillus head. The collab from Harem Medusa and Bacillus. Got my first rug in here. Real deal rug, ETH Homes. Let me shout out to ETH Homes. Anybody that followed me in there, I'm sorry. I thought it was really cool. But the idea is rad. We're building in Substrata. These people had models, and they actually gave me a 3D model of these homes, but they ended up rugging. But they were basically, it was a pre-built home that had a 3D model that you could import into these virtual spaces. I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But they took off. Yeah, till they took off. But some of the art, I don't have much 101s right now. We went through that whole phase that there wasn't a 101s anymore. But like I said, a lot of blueprints. Oh, I got a Gazer, Matt Cain. That, once again, I saw a tweet, I think from Mighty Moose, who I know from back in the day, and I was like, oh yeah, Matt Cain for sure. Yeah, I'm getting that. And I ended up having to get one on secondary.
One of my biggest regrets. I missed the boat on that.
It's legit. It's super cool. And I didn't even know much about it. I just knew it was Matt Cain. Mighty Moose was tweeting about it, and let's do it, and then you come to find out it's like it moves with the moon cycles, and the whole thing changes, and my moon disappeared one day, and there's this whole Twitter uproar like my moon's gone, and oh my God, and it's just one of the coolest NFTs I think out there currently.
Yep.
Name another, it's just really cool, and it keeps giving. There's all these little secrets, and like the colors are always changing, and there's movement to them, and as soon as I get myself a damn digital frame, it's going to look badass,
Yep. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Gazer fam rate over here. Rizzle, you gotta step your game up.
Oh. Yes, agree. Trust me. Dude, that's like quite the. I don't want to cut you off, man. If you
no, you're fine.
Things, that's like quite the lineup there, man. And dude, next time you stumble upon these like free mints, like in the moment, man, shoot me a DM because I'm jealous of like the Lulu X as well, Lulu Triple X. Big fan of hers, and had no idea that was even a thing that was out there.
Yeah, I got lucky, like I said.
Yeah. Dude, but that's quite like the OG lineup that you have. Also, shout out to Async, man, and the blueprints are like so cool. But that's like quite the lineup, man, that you have in your wallet there.
Thank you.
Dude, let people know all the things, man. Any like important dates that you got coming up, or like whatever's going on with Architecture Island, or any like important social media handles. Like, let everyone know where they can find you and what's going on.
My birthday's in October. No, no, I'm pretty chill. So Twitter at Pointshark1. Architect Island is where you can find me building. I tweet about it every so often. I'm not a big pump my bags type guy or check me out type guy. So to you guys, this is my first podcast ever and probably second, maybe third time even publicly speaking. So, thank you for having me on. That's for sure.
Hell yeah.
Really, that's it. I don't need to show much, man. If you find me and you find some stuff, you'll see my stuff. My Twitter has a Behance in there, and it's got my link at Known Origin and my link on Maker's Place. And that's what, like I said, I'm still trying to get more art out there. I just love building too much that when the next job comes up, I always take a build job rather than following my art needs. But
trying to get art out there, meaning like more builds or like
no.
more...
Well, if you want to take a step back into conversation, because I started off on additional, and I was minting art. That's where I really, before I was building, before I could even build realistically in this space, I was hanging out with Mighty Moose and Jelly and, who else? WG Meats. Like I said, I wasn't going to name names of Bruckman, and I'm just trying to go over the names in the additional crew. Marco Zubak, Fanny Lacube, John Egan, those are kind of the heads of the operation, I believe. Just so many people. Who else was in there? I'm going to forget people. I'm super sorry. But I was minting in 2019, and trading art with these guys in 2019, guys and girls, and just having a good old time. So I always wanted to get on Known Origin. So when I finally could, it was awesome. Same thing with Maker's Place. When I finally could, it was awesome. I knew Colin before Async. So when him and No Shot started that sucker, I was really inspired to just get good so that I could potentially have a shot at getting on Async one day, just driving factors. So yeah, when I say about minting art, honestly, I was technically, should I say it? I was an artist before a builder. Even though I came here to build / create, the art kind of stepped in front first. And so that's how I got my foot in the door, meeting everybody and just kind of getting immersed in even things as simple as why storing photos on this isn't necessarily good if you're trying to keep stuff private. Like I had to get explained things about the chain, you know what I mean? And that was all of these people that were in this room back then. And so I can't thank them enough for obviously not kicking me out right away for being the new guy, and not knowing much. But they've inspired me to keep creating. Mighty Moose, I think, collected, I don't know, call it my Genesis piece. He was super stoked, my Genesis Unknown Origin. And when that stuff happens and people are supporting you because they like you and whatever else it may be, the motivation to create more is there. And I left additional closed down before I could reach my goal of 100 pieces in this one specific series. I think I'm up to 72 or something at this point within the series, but I want to finish that series kinda. I just don't know where to put it, but yeah, I just want to keep creating. And since I haven't minted art in a while and I've been doing so many builds, that's just kind of, okay, I'm heavy build now. I need to go get back heavy art, cause I was real heavy art for a long time. So just anxious to fine tune my skills, see what I've learned over the few years, see how well I can mess with layers these days and see what I can get going to potentially audition for another platform or something. So yeah, if you see me out there, say, hey, don't need to buy anything from me. I'm not here to make money. I'm here to make friends and have fun and just go. So yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
Shaka. That's my shill.
Amen, dude. Amen, man. What a beautiful shill.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just here to create and have fun. If you like it, come scoop it. Not trying to sell anything. I mean, dude.
I'm not. I don't even think I have anything listed. Like,
Yeah, I was checking it out before. I can't see anything on secondary. I see just like sold out. So yeah, man, I'm excited to see what you cook up. And yeah, just want to echo again, what an absolute pleasure. It's been chatting. And just a big admirer, long-term admirer. So really excited to just see you keep doing your thing, and excited that that's what you want to keep doing.
Yeah.
Which is great for the whole space, man. So thank you once again. Keep
No,
doing
thank
your
you
thing,
guys.
keep building.
Like, I seriously can't thank you guys enough for even just having me on. Like I said, super humbled. I've learned a tons just by, following you guys and talking and listening to your podcasts, listening to the people you have on your podcasts. So, if rising tide raises all boats, you guys would definitely help rise that tide. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Appreciate
feed
that,
off each
man.
other. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Right on.
Yeah, dude. I really, really, really appreciate having you on, man. It feels like we all like sort of came up together, and it's cool to be able to sort of kick it and reflect back on all that, and keep being out here doing our thing together, man. So, dude, it's been great, and we'll see you in the metaverse, man. We'll have to host a whip at one of your spots once they're complete.
Definitely, that'll be something for sure. I'll get with the guys and see which one they want to take off on.
Yes.
Right on.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot, guys. I'll talk to y'all later.
Thank you, man.
See ya.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to this week's episode. Just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Proof of Beauty. Proof of Beauty is an experimental digital experience studio. The blockchain is their canvas and the tokens are their brush. You can learn more about Proof of Beauty by checking out pob.studio. You can follow them on Twitter as well at PRRF Beauty. That's PRRF Beauty on Twitter, and pob.studio on their homepage to learn more about their projects like Hash, London, and Publico. Thank you, and see you in the next episode.